everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. If I could ask you to take your seats, I think we'd like to get started. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adrienne Michler, and I'm the Executive Director of the Anne Arundel County Mental Health Agency. I also co-chair the county's local behavioral health authority with Sandy O'Neill from the Anne Arundel County Department of Health. I have the privilege this afternoon to serve as your MC today. This is such a wonderful opportunity to officially introduce our county's partnership with the Maryland Consortium for Coordinated Community Supports, which hereafter I may refer to as the Consortium. Although this is our official introduction, the work has been going on for some time. So today, we will have the opportunity to hear about some of its success and how it is having such an amazing impact on our children and our families. We are very excited to share these stories with you all. But before I say more about the partnership with the Consortium and the good work we're all doing, let me take a moment to welcome and acknowledge our elected officials, honored guests, and attendees. I'd like to start with our elected officials. If you could stand or wave your hand when I call you, I'd appreciate it. I'd like to start with our own county executive, Mr. Steuart Pittman. Now, at this time, I'd like to acknowledge our consortium members. Chair David Rudolph, also. House Delegate Eric Ebersol. Our other consortium members, Larry Epp, Gail Martin, Mike Trader. Thank you all for being here. We're also delighted to be joined here today by the Maryland Community Health Resources Commission, led by Mark Luckner, and his dynamic team, Lorianne Ross, as well as the National Center for School Mental Health at the University of Maryland. Representatives here are Jan Kepperling, Karen Robinson. Thank you. Oh, Sam, thank you. The Anne Arundel County Local Behavioral Health Authority was fortunate to be selected as a pilot hub last spring. Because of our hard work, we were deemed eligible to apply for fiscal year 2026 as a full community support partner. Could I ask my colleagues on my hub steering committee to raise your hands and be recognized when I call your name? I'd like to start with our health officer, Dr. Tony Gedden. Sandy O'Neill, the co-chair of the Hub, Director for Behavioral Health for Anne Arundel County. Ryan Voklin, Assistant Superintendent of Student Services for AACPS, who also serves as our local education agency or LEA representative on our steering committee. Dr. Pam Brown, I don't believe is with us, but she is also on our steering committee. Mazetta, thank you. Rachel McConaughey, Director for Anne Arundel County Department of Social Services. And Delmonica Hawkins, who is not here, but is the Regional Director for our Juvenile Services. And, of course, Marcy Gibbons, who is our Hub Coordinator. Also in Anne Arundel County, we have a Hub Oversight Committee, which our local management board, board of directors serves in that role. And from there, I believe we have Mary Spencer from the Community Foundation representing our oversight committee. No, she's here. We also would like to welcome some representative from the state's attorney's office. I believe Jessica Daigle is going to come. I'm not sure she's here yet. We certainly have an audience full of esteemed guests and a very exciting agenda, so I'm very thrilled to get started. I would like to start by introducing someone who, since his first day in office, has made health a priority. Specifically, he advocated for mental health by inspiring and implementing the Mental Health Task Force. This was a partnership between my agency and the Anne Arundel County Public School System. That structure remains a vibrant element of our work today, and we've enhanced it with the supports offered through the Maryland Consortium. Throughout his 7 years in office, he has been a champion for our nationally recognized crisis response system, also with our agency, and for improving behavioral health services for all residents of Anne Arundel County. He leads by example, and he challenges all of us to continually make change for the betterment for all of our residents. And somehow he manages to find the time to let us know that he notices what we do, he hears us, supports us when we need help, and appreciate what we do. Please help me welcome our County Executive, Steuart Pittman.
Thank you, Adrian. We've been through a few things, haven't we, over the last 6 years. So I'm really excited about being here and seeing all the faces who've been doing this work in our county in particular. But I want to go back a little bit in history, not very far back. I did confuse in the 1900s and the 2000s just a few minutes ago. It wasn't that far back. It was actually 2019. And the Board of Education voted to have the superintendent create a mental health task force. And I had been hearing from students and parents and others about mental health challenges and crises. This was pre-COVID. In our schools. I remember meeting with a group of students who had started a group called Our Minds Matter, and they used to show up at marches and things with their buttons, and they wanted to do something about the lack of services and the mental health challenges that some of their peers were suffering from, driven by some suicides that had taken place. And I felt in my bones that this was an issue that, while it's one of the really hard ones that it's hard to make a dent and know whether you're making a dent. It's kind of like affordable housing and traffic. They're really hard to solve. But that it was clearly an issue that affected everybody and affected them deep down inside. Kind of like when we talk about Crownsville and the history there and what we're doing there. People engage, and it is so nonpartisan because it is so human that everybody is on board. So I was really excited when the school board said, let's create a mental health task force. And I had heard about some situations where the county mental health agency and the Department of Health and their folks weren't necessarily communicating well with the schools. Maybe it was a school with a principal, or maybe it was the whole system. And so it was really exciting when the decision got made to have that task force led by Adrian Mickler from the Mental Health Agency and Ryan Boglin from the school system. And I actually printed out, just before I came, the report October 2020 of that task force. And I looked through the organizations that were on the task force, and then I looked through the organizations that are part of this program. And they're the exact same organizations. So while this was started by the General Assembly as part of the blueprint and passed in 2021, for Anne Arundel County, it was like a response. You didn't know you were responding to this, delegate, I know, but you were responding to this report right here when you did this. And fortunately, that response included some money. And fortunately, it was a model that fit right into the recommendations of this report. So we've been calling it the Hub and Spokes program, which doesn't really make any sense. Community support grants in our county are something else that we give to community organizations who are all wondering why they weren't invited to this event, because it sounded like it was about their program. But it doesn't really matter what we call it. What really matters is that we now have a way to fund more of the work that providers are doing, whether those providers are nonprofit organizations or wherever, and coordinate the work with the school system, with the county mental health agency, with the Department of Health, and all the people who are doing this work, so that what we deliver, what gets delivered with whatever funding is available, is targeted and it's coordinated. So it's just starting, and we in Anne Arundel County, I think, because we have started this planning already, have to show the rest of the state that it is worth continuing to fund, and it becomes something that continues and show results that can be measured. So I don't know how to do all those things. You all know how to do all those things, which means that I will sit down and listen to the people who do. But I want to congratulate the organizations in particular, because I think I've worked with all of you on something. The 8 ones that are the spokes now, I understand that more spokes are coming. Maybe some future spokes in the room, some providers, I mean. But for Arundel Lodge, Via Maria with Catholic Charities, Thrive Behavioral Health, the Community Action Agency of Anne Arundel County, the Department of Health of Anne Arundel County, the Children's Guild, the Playworks Education Energized, and our Partnership for Children, Youth, and Families. Thank you for being part of this. Congratulations for being part of this, and for the rest of you that are going to engage. Thanks for stepping in where our students need you.
Thank you, County Executive. Next, I'd like to introduce Consortium Chairman David Rudolph. Mr. Rudolph has served in so many roles in education, I can only summarize it modestly by saying he is a lifelong educator. He is a former principal in Cecil County, and he leaves a legacy of education in Maryland. He served in the House of Delegates for 20 years, including serving in Speaker Bush's leadership team as Vice Chair for the Economic Matters Committee. The consortium has accomplished a great deal in its first 2 years, and we thank Chair Rudolph for his leadership. We also thank Speaker Jones and President Ferguson for appointing Mr. Rudolph to be chair of the consortium. We're eager to hear from Chairman David Rudolph, who will share a bit more about what's happening at the state level and the importance of this work. Please help me welcome Chair David Rudolph.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to join you today. Especially, it's my pleasure, the story about Speaker Bush. I'm from Cecil County. If you don't know where that is, it's someplace northeast of here. Very few people know where Cecil County is, and when the Speaker and I would sit outside of the State House, if you look from the State House, there's benches on the right-hand side. Speaker Bush and I would sit over there, and he'd want to know a little bit about education and how we handle it in Cecil County that might be different in other parts of the state. But one thing about Speaker Bush is that he called me into his office, and I had no idea. It's kind of like when I was a principal and the kids got called into my office. They were hoping that they got out of trouble. I didn't know exactly what the Speaker was and was going to do, but that afternoon the Speaker asked me to serve as the Vice Chairman of Economic Matters. It's probably the biggest honor in my entire life to have that honor to represent not only my county, but also the state as the Vice Chairman of Economic Matters. Some people have wondered why I was chosen. I still wonder why I was chosen, but it was a pleasure to do so, and what gave me the opportunities to work on things throughout the state. And that was why it was very, very important. You know, and I listened to the county executive speak about all the great people and all the great things you're doing here in your county, and it's quite obvious. I went around, took me 7 minutes because I only had 8 minutes to get it all done, and introduced myself to everyone. And everyone had a smile on their face. And that says a lot. If I walked around and saw people with their heads down saying, and not even wanting to be here, I would have gotten a different impression. But I had a great impression by the people who are representing the different agencies. They smiled, and they shook my hand, and were enthusiastic about what they're doing to help children. And that's what the consortium's about. It's helping children from first grade all the way to 12th grade, and all the emotional issues and behavioral issues that they're facing in their life today. It's something that, to me, it would be extremely rewarding to see success in today's world when there are so many, what I'll call bad things, happening to kids. And each and every one of you are just one small part of getting a student through a day or through a night, depending on what service you're providing. So I want to thank you for doing so. It means a great deal to me and a great deal to the consortium, because we have about 25 members from throughout the state of Maryland come to Annapolis every 5 or 6 weeks to discuss how we're going to implement this program. And we've been doing that for 2 years. And Anne Arundel County's had 8 spokes that were, and if you don't understand, or ever heard of spokes and hubs, it's an organizational style. You got one hub, and you got a whole bunch of spokes around it. Just look kind of like looking at a bicycle or a car wheel, okay? That's the concept. 8, and then under one leadership, okay? That would be the hub and spoke model. And the fact that we have implemented this throughout the state, it's been a long and a great deal of work. I am blessed to have 2 great individuals here today, Mark Luckner and Ms. Moss, who have done, she would kill me, that should say Laurie Ann, I apologize, done an excellent job in shepherding us through the first 2 years, and we look forward to providing additional services throughout the state of Maryland. You know, if you look at the document that's on the board, but we make available today, we are so pleased. We went over it with our committee members today, our consortium members, and the number of students that we have served. And that number now, Lorianne announced this morning, is now 70,000 students. All right, and the significance of that, I know the state of Maryland is dealing with some economic issues, but we have young people that need our help, and we're going to continue to do so throughout the next year. Again, it's my pleasure to join you. I want to congratulate you on a good job well done, and I look forward to hearing all the great news about you. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Chair Rudolph. We will be finding out a little bit about our spokes in just a minute and let them share some of their exciting activity that they've been doing to help our children. But first, I'd like to share a little bit of history so that everyone knows just how we got here. The Maryland General Assembly created the Maryland Consortium on Coordinated Community Supports in 2021 as part of the blueprint for Maryland's future. This was in recognition of the critical role that mental health plays in student achievement. The consortium is developing a statewide framework to expand access to comprehensive behavioral health services for Maryland students, pre-K to grade 12. Using a hub and spoke model, where agencies such as our local behavioral health authority are the hub, and the spokes are those entities actually providing the services. The CHRC works closely with us and other local or regional hubs like ours throughout the state. They're helping us build a comprehensive network of behavioral health supports for students and families across Maryland. The National Center for School Mental Health at the University of Maryland provides vital training and technical assistance to the CHRC, service providers, and educators. So we're not just doing the right things, but we can confidently say we're doing the right things right. Our leadership has always highly valued unity, collaboration, and the importance of collectively working towards a common goal. We see this partnership with the consortium as a way to strengthen the relationship between state and local agencies, schools, families, and public and private partners. We are all working together to help our students achieve mental wellness and healthy behaviors. These are critical to their success in school and life. This is the vision of the consortium and the work we carry out with their support. As mentioned previously, our LBHA was selected to be the pilot hub for Anne Arundel County. In addition, 8 of our local behavioral health providers were also selected by the CHRC to serve as spokes. These entities are working in partnership with our schools to directly serve students and their families. They are providing evidence-based strategies and interventions with measurement-based care evaluation tools to ensure efficacy and reach of clinical interventions. As you can see, the pyramid one, yeah. As you can see, the services have been divided by tiers. Each tier corresponds to a target group of students. Beginning with our Tier 1 on the bottom, more prevention activities, which are appropriate for all youth. Tier 2 services, in the yellow, are for those youth identified as being at risk of needing more support. And finally, Tier 3 services are very intense ones and designed to support the youth in order to prevent hospitalizations or out-of-home placement. Now I'd like to take a moment to briefly describe the 8 spokes that were selected. They all have resource tables around the room, and as I mentioned each, if someone at the table could raise their hand so that we know where to get more information. I'd like to start with Thrive Behavioral Health. Thank you. Thrive serves students in Tiers 1, 2, and 3. Through the consortium grant, Thrive is expanding mental health and substance use prevention, care, and treatment services for students and families that are not covered by medical assistance or private insurance. Through December, they have served 1,850 students. Oh, thank you. I think so. Arundel Lodge. Arundel Lodge has developed the Rapid Access for Youth, or RAID team, providing expanded mental health services for county youth, including crisis and mental health diagnosis and treatment, with the goal of avoiding hospitalizations when possible. Through December, 323 students have been served by Arundel Lodge thanks to the consortium grant. Children's Guild. The Children's Guild offers Tiers 2 and 3 services in the form of family navigation, training, and mental health supports. Clinical services are available to AACPS students and families who are under or uninsured. The Children's Guild is focusing on working with students and families to reduce absenteeism and suspension rates for greater school engagement and support. Through December, the Children's Guild has served 158 students and families, thanks to the consortium grant. Community Action Agency. They are working in partnership with Annapolis Middle School for Tier 1 and 2 services for family support and coaching around economic mobility and health equity to reduce barriers for students to access educational opportunities. Through December, the Community Action Agency has served 41 students and families, thanks to the consortium. Villa Maria. Villa Maria is addressing school attendance with wraparound services for AACPS students and families using Tier 3 services to address identified family needs. They also hope to increase school attendance and engagement for students where services are not reimbursed by medical assistance or private insurance. Through December, Villa has served 21 students and families, thanks to the consortium grant. Anne Arundel County Department of Health. They are enhancing and expanding the Students Against Destructive Decisions program throughout AACPS middle and high schools. They also have increased the Strengthening Families program for families identified by the school system to increase student and family school engagement. Through December, the Department of Health has provided services for 78 students and families, thanks to the consortium. Playworks. This program teaches and models social and emotional learning in the classroom and on the playground at recess. The social emotional learning that is fostered on a Tier 1 level educates students on conflict resolution, positive communication, and teamwork, to increase student leadership, core social, emotional learning values, and school engagement. Through December, PlayWorks has served 1,500 students, thanks to the consortium. And last but certainly not least, the Partnership for Children, Youth, and Families. The partnership, using the Poverty Amidst Plenty report to identify schools and communities of hope, the partnership provides family navigation services for families in need to increase access to all needed services and social health drivers, from food banks, connection to utilities and rental assistance programs, and to all behavioral health services. The goal is to facilitate student school attendance and school and community engagement for families. Through December, the partnership has supported 73 students and families, thanks to the consortium grant. Collectively, our spoke agencies in Anne Arundel County have served over 4,000 students since last March. It's incredible, and we're just getting started. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce our next speaker. Monique Jackson currently serves as the Chief Student and Systemic Supports Officer for Anne Arundel County Public Schools. Prior to this appointment, she was the Deputy Superintendent for Student and School Support, a role she held since 2016. As a fourth-generation educator and a Southern High School graduate, Mrs. Jackson has a deep connection to the school system she now supports. Since 1999, she has held a wide variety of roles within our school system, from teacher to administrator, and we are most grateful for her continued service and dedication to our children. Please help me welcome Monique.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Dr. Bedell, our superintendent, I stand here not only in awe, but in complete amazement of all of the wonderful things that we continue to do for all of our students in Anne Arundel County Public Schools. As was mentioned, I'm a proud educator, but I also stand in front of you as a parent of 2 students. I want to extend my thanks to the Maryland Consortium on Coordinated Community Supports for all that they have done to initiate this wonderful work. Our Anne Arundel County government, who is always a support to our school system, Anne Arundel County Department of Health, who I have had the wonderful opportunity to continue to support and collaborate with over the years, the Anne Arundel County Mental Health Agency, our amazing Anne Arundel County Public Schools staff who've been involved in so many of these initiatives on behalf of our students, and especially to Assistant Superintendent Vogelin for always representing our school system in all of these meetings so well. Our quest to help every student belong, grow, and succeed requires just more than the teams at our schools. And I've heard our county executive say that over and over again. It requires everyone in this room and our communities to support our students, because they're with us for a few hours a day, but then they go back into a community in which many of you serve. So I'm so proud of the work that our teams are doing in the schools across our county. The opportunities that organizations like those that are represented on the perimeter of this room today create for our students and for our families. It's all crucial, and while the work is often done out of the limelight, and I reiterate that, it's out of the limelight, we know that it is having a positive impact. Just look at our student data, look at our behavioral data, and it's only going to get better. In fact, to talk to you about that impact, I would like to ask Carrie Mueller, the school social worker at Annapolis High School, to come up and offer a few remarks. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Carrie Mueller, school social worker at Annapolis High School. I've had the privilege of working for AACPS for the last 13 years, and I've worked with a lot of you in this room. It's nice to see so many friendly faces here. What I love about Annapolis High School is its diversity. In many ways, our 2,200 students are a microcosm of our larger community. Unfortunately, this includes a large percentage of youth who are struggling with anxiety, depression, and substance use. Relative to the needs at Annapolis High School, our student services team is pretty small. We have 7 school counselors who have caseloads of over 300 students each. And so that leaves myself, our school psychologist, and our 2 amazing Children's Guild clinicians to manage the more demanding mental health needs. And we always have a waiting list for Children's Guild. And this is where Thrive Behavioral Health, and specifically Maddie Albright, have been a game changer. Maddie reaches a specific population of youth who may or may not understand their relationship with substance use. If we find students who are curious about why they're using as much as they are, the decisions that they're making, or if we see students who are struggling and we see that they are self-medicating, we refer those students to Maddie Albright. She meets every student where they are, and every student looks forward to meeting with her each week. The work that Maddie does makes the work that the rest of us do even more impactful. Let me share a brief story. Michael is a student who sees Maddie and who is in my Pathways to Peace program, which is designed to show students that there are pathways to success that do not involve drugs and violence. Recently, the Pathways group went on a field trip to 3 trade unions. Michael and his friends were very excited to find out that they could make $50,000 a year right out of high school in an apprenticeship program. And then they found out that there was drug testing involved, and their enthusiasm dropped off a lot. So fast forward a few weeks, when Michael had his first Pathways to Peace team meeting, where he had to pull together the important adults in his life who were going to help him get to his individual goals. Maddie Albright, of course, was chosen to be on his support team. And we were able to have an honest conversation about how the drug-free work environments are the reality. Oh, excuse me, the reality for these high-paying jobs. And Maddie was able to assure Michael that over the next year and a half when she works with him, this is something that they will explore further, whether he really wants drugs to, make a decision for his career path and his future success. That's what Maddie does. She helps guide students toward their best potential by helping them make healthier choices. Maddie has become a cornerstone of our team. She's deeply respected by the students who never even thought they needed counseling. Just last week, I got a text from a parent of another student who said that Maddie is the best thing that has happened to her son in the last year. Thrive Behavioral Health and Maddie Albright are an essential resource to our school community. They enhance the work that we already do at Annapolis High School, and they add a layer of support that we were missing before. I am confident that with their continued help, more students will not only survive, but they will thrive. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you so much. In working together with our students, families, schools, and providers, we aim to reduce the stigma associated with mental health and substance use disorders and improve access to care in Anne Arundel County. If you'd like to learn more or get involved, please reach out to Marcy Gibbons, our steering committee members, or any of our spoke partners. We're grateful to the Maryland Legislature for their visionary leadership on this issue and providing the necessary support through the consortium and the CHRC. To Chairman Rudolph and the consortium board, thank you for stepping up to the challenge and propelling Maryland forward on providing comprehensive behavioral health support for students and their families. Thank you all. From Anne Arundel County, our children need it. We welcome this, and we're so grateful for it. Thank you all. Thank you for being here.